Greetings and welcome to Disrupt Your Day, Season 3, Meet Your Next Superhero. Women have been starting small businesses in record levels since the pandemic began in 2020. Because everyone's path is different, there's plenty we can learn from women business owners who have been down the road before. So sit back, listen, and let them disrupt your day. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to VisionReady's podcast series, Meet Your Next Superhero. This is the 5th episode of Season 3, where we will talk about risk and opportunity for women founders and how they can take a leap of faith and land on success. My name is Angara, and I'm the creative director for VisionReady. VisionReady is a certified woman-owned business helping women entrepreneurs transform their businesses with confidence, grit, and resilience. We can help open doors with the public and private sectors for contract opportunities to grow your company's bottom line. We achieve this by providing business consulting, training, project management, and wellness programs. Our guest today is Pattie Sheehan. Pattie graduated college in 1975 with a bachelor's degree in journalism and started what would become her dream career in advertising. The challenges were many, as advertising account management was a man's job back then, but Pattie persevered, eventually becoming vice president of client services for a mid-sized ad agency for more than a decade. But at age 53, that agency closed and Pattie faced the agism that many older professionals encounter. In 2008, she made a colossal career shift, opening Second Act Cancer Recovery Boutique, and in 2020, she was named Certified Mastectomy Fitter of the Year by Breast Cancer Wellness magazine. Today at age 70, she continues to operate Second Act Chicago's only ABCOP accredited mastectomy boutique, serving breast cancer patients and survivors from throughout the Chicagoland area. Welcome, Pattie.
Hey, Pon, good to see you.
And you too. Thank you so much for joining us today and for gracing our program and letting us see into the window of your life and your work. And so let's start, Pattie, by you telling us about your entrepreneurial journey and why you founded Second Act.
Okay. It wasn't my choice. I expected to finish out my career in advertising. It didn't work out that way. In the process, my mother was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and I took her to a boutique in the southwest suburbs near where she lived to get a wig. And that boutique also offered mastectomy items and various other products. And I thought, gee, that's a great idea. Somebody should use that idea and open one in the city, which is where I live, which is right downtown. And there's nothing in the city and there's nothing to serve the city population. But I was still in advertising at the time and I kept trying to give the idea away and nobody seemed to want it. And then when my advertising career fell apart, I said, well, I guess it was meant to be mine. And so I jumped in. There is a rule of thumb in business that says if you're going to try something new, you should at least know something about it and about the industry. And that's very good advice because I didn't. And jumping in with both feet into something you don't know anything about is very challenging. But once you've made the decision to do it, you just have to learn it and get into it. And all my years in account management, I told the young people who worked for me, you have to know your client's business better than they do. Not as well as they do, better, so you can lead them. And so I took my own advice and I did market research on the Chicago market. And I said, there's over 1 million women and 1 in 8 will have breast cancer in their lifetime. And how can this job not be a huge success based on those kinds of numbers? Only to find out that it's not a retail business, it's healthcare. Only to find out that pricing is based on insurance contracts not market price. And the fact that there was absolutely no level of awareness in the marketplace for this industry. Nobody knows we exist. And now 15 years later, to this day, people walk in saying, gee, I wish I'd known about you 5 years ago, 2 years ago. I wish my mother had known about you. So the challenges of getting into an industry that you're not totally familiar with can be huge.
And I totally agree with you, because there's so much legwork, homework, research that entrepreneurs need to do about the market that they want to get into, not just about the customers, but about the suppliers and any laws, any policies that are part of the setting, the environment that will influence or that will even drive how you work, how you operate, how you interact with your customers, and of course your success. What would be one or two big light bulb moments, that you encountered as you were figuring things out, also things that maybe set the path for you to go in this specific direction with Second Act?
Well, you're right about doing the research. I thought I had done it. I thought I'd done the market research, which I had, but I didn't do the industry research. So I did find, actually, the boutique where I had taken my mother in the far southwest suburbs said, hey, we'll help you out. We don't really see you as a competitor, and we'll help you out. So they started telling me who the vendors are and what I needed to do. But I probably should have done all that before I tried to open my doors. There were a lot of regulations I didn't know about, so I was scrambling to get approvals from Medicare and insurance companies to be able to bill for my products. Insurance billing was something I didn't understand. So certainly that. The other big surprise, however much money you think it's going to take to open the business, double it, maybe even triple or quadruple it, because no matter how much you look at what things cost and what you think you can sell them for, the whole issue of overhead and how many people are going to walk through your door makes a huge difference. And that's where the issue of awareness comes in. If you're going into a business, you need to know, does your target audience know about your business? Are they sitting there waiting for you to open your doors? Probably not. Do you have competition? People like to say, oh, I have no competition, but you do. And while there was nobody doing what I do in downtown Chicago, there were other ways to meet those needs, whether it was going to Nordstrom or whether it was going somewhere else. So entrepreneurs need to have an open mind about the fact that you always have competition. Maybe it doesn't shape up and look like you, but there is some other way that people are having their needs met. And you need to know what those are, and you need to assess how you're going to do things differently and better, and how you're going to convince people that you're the place they need to be rather than somewhere else. And part of that comes from the old adage, know it better than anyone else. And in 15 years, I have spent time building myself up to be the subject matter expert in Chicago. So doctors, nurses, therapists, anybody who has questions about what to do after a woman has breast cancer and has her breast removed can call me, and I can tell them about it. But I also make sure that I go to all the medical seminars so that I understand the other side of the coin. I understand the medical side of what women are going through, so that when doctors come and ask me questions, I know where they're coming from. So it's not just knowing your target audience, it's also knowing, when in the old days, when an influencer was somebody who actually knew something special, it's knowing what those people know and convincing them that you can be their go-to person.
Right. Wow, there's so many facets to this business, to this industry that you've entered, and now you're thriving in it. I'm guessing that you've had, and being a subject matter expert, I'm guessing that You've given talks to organizations. I'm pretty sure that maybe the media has probably even invited you to speak. Tell us about that.
That's true. But again, that's because in the early days, and even today to some extent, I had to reach out and ask for those interviews because nobody is sitting around saying, hey, I think I'll go ask somebody at a mastectomy boutique what to do about women who've had breast cancer. It's just not something that is top of mind. So it was a matter of looking for opportunities. In my case, October is a great opportunity because that's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I made sure early, like August, sometimes July, I got in touch with the media outlets and I said to them, you're going to need to talk to somebody in October, and I've got just the thing that you need to know about. So you have to go out and promote yourself to the media outlets in order for them to know that you're there and convince them that they need to talk to you. So that's how I ended up on CBS, on NBC. That's how I met all kinds of people. I met Ginger Z when she was here in Chicago. And when she moved to Good Morning America, I reached out to her and I said, I'm going to be in New York. I want to come and see you. That's how I met Robin Roberts. So you can't sit back and expect people are going to come looking for you. If you want to promote your business, you've got to be the one out there doing it. I also reached out to nonprofits and I said, hey, do you need somebody to come and talk to your support group? I'd be happy to be the one to come and do that. And then I reached out to the hospitals and said, hey, do you have a support group? I'd like to talk to those people. So being proactive and presenting yourself to your market is how you're going to get picked up in terms of being able to tell your story.
Right. Viewers, I hope you're listening intently and closely to what Pattie was saying there, because just because you build it doesn't mean people will come.
That's right.
You have to reach out. You have to do your homework and your due diligence about the media, about the different news outlets, whether it be, your internet radio or the online newspapers publications. There are all reporters need stories, and they're in search of stories that are relevant and timely and urgent. So it is up to you, business owner and entrepreneur, to seek them out and establish really good relationships with them. So Pattie, tell us about what are some of the things that you find to be a rule of thumb, maybe that you've established for yourself about building relationships with the media, with the writers, with the reporters, and all our friends in the media sphere.
Well, it kind of follows what you said. They need content. And so you make sure once you've established that relationship, you stay in touch. So, because they will forget you, and why not? You may see them on TV every day, but they don't see you. Mm-hmm. So you have to look for reasons to remind them that you're there. In my industry, that means March, for instance, is coming up, and that's International Women's Month. Right. That's a good time to go back out to my contacts and say, hey, by the way, I'm still here. Because October might be logical, but there's numerous other times. You have to find a way to get yourself in front of them. And once you get an email address or goodness knows a phone number, you have to use it judiciously. Don't bug them. Don't be after them all the time. And when you go to them, be sure you have something of value to offer, something that's going to make their life easier, that's going to give them something they can use, that's going to make them look good to their bosses, their viewers, their listeners. So it's all about providing quality and staying in touch on a semi-regular basis. Maybe it's only once or twice a year, but be sure they know about you. And then the other thing I do is I go to events where I know they will be. So if I know that Northwestern Hospital is doing an event for Breast Cancer Month, and I know that the media is going to be there to cover it, I make sure I'm there. And then I also have my very own name tag. I probably should have put it on today, but I have a metal name tag. I don't wear any of those little paper stick-ons. And anytime I go out to an event, I wear it. And it may not even be breast related. It might be any kind of event, but I wear that name tag. And all it says is Pattie Cagney Sheehan, second act, Cancer Recovery Boutique. I think it actually says Mastectomy because that's a quicker read. And people will say to me, second act, what's that? Mastectomy Boutique, what's that? So it gets people asking questions. But you have to put yourself in situations where if you know the media is going to be there, be sure you're there. If you know people who can refer to you are going to be there, be there. Get in front of people wherever you can. You can't be afraid, and you can't sit back at your business and just wait for people to walk in the door.
Wow, thank you so much, Pattie. I'm going to make that a meme. I'm going to make that a really a soundbite that's going to loop, you know, for in on social media, because that is so important. That's really important. Thank you so much, Pattie. So at this point, I'd like to get a little deeper into Second Act and the service, you know, that you provide. And tell us, Pattie, what should women founders pay close attention to in terms of women's health, particularly in the connection between their physical needs and appearance, and how this affects their emotional well-being?
The thing that surprised me most when I got into this business, I thought women would be very upset to lose their breast to surgery. And I found out that what really freaks them out is losing their hair. I found out that chemo and losing your hair has a much larger effect on women than losing their breast. Now, that's not 100% true, but I think most of that is based on the fact that this is how they are outwardly presented to the world. And when you are a bald woman, people think something is wrong. You could have alopecia, or you could just decide you like having your hair shaved off. But more often than not, people will assume that you are ill. And it gets very tiresome for these women to have people saying to them, how are you? When they'd really like somebody just to say, hey, how you doing? Just like they would if you weren't sick. So the idea of a wig is extremely important to them. Now, as far as the breast surgery and so we do provide wigs, but that's a very small percentage of our business. I'm not a hairdresser. I am a certified mastectomy fitter, and people are surprised when they come into my fitting room and they see all my certifications on the wall, and they say, you have to be certified? You have to be trained? Well, absolutely. So I can instill confidence in these women when they come in. Now, it's unfortunate that most women, when they go in and are diagnosed with breast cancer, the team that meets them are all surgical, and they are radiologists, and they talk to them about their chemotherapy, and they talk to them about their reconstruction. Nobody says to them, hey, by the way, if you don't want to do additional surgery, there's another option, and it's called an external breast prosthesis. And you wear it in a pocketed bra, and certain women called certified mastectomy fitters can help you with that. So I am always grateful if I can get my hands on a woman once she's diagnosed, but before her surgery, so that I can show her the options. I never ever tell a woman that she should not do reconstruction or that she should do a prosthesis. I provide information. And that goes back to what we were talking earlier about good business principles. Be sure you are always providing good, solid information to your clients, to your customers, because then they know they can trust you. And trust is incredibly important, especially in a situation like mine. So you have women who are embarrassed. We have women who've never seen their own surgery scar. We have a huge mirror on the wall in the fitting room so that when we put them into a prosthesis and a bra and they look at it, they feel and look great. But for some women, they turn their back because they don't want to see what their chest looks like after their surgery. But what's so gratifying is after we finish a fitting and a woman gets dressed and she looks in the mirror, she just involuntarily puts her shoulders back, holds her head up, no matter what kind of shape she came in, whether she was scared or nervous or angry, could be any of those emotions. If we've done our job right, they leave happy because you've brought them back to where they were. They might tell you, they might say, I'm 65 years old. I don't care that I lost my breast. I've been married to my husband for 40 years. He doesn't care that I lost my breast. We say, okay, that's fine. But we do this to balance you out so your shoulders are even, your posture's correct. And they say, okay, well, I'll do it for that reason. But when it's done and they see themselves, the emotional and mental reaction to it is so much more than even they expected it to be.
Wow, Pattie, that to me encapsulates the full meaning of transformation. You know, you help these women transform themselves into someone who is, you know, who feels themselves again. So I really commend you on that, on why you're doing this, for the reason why you're doing this, and the you know, the benefit that you give to the women that you serve. So thank you.
And I will tell you that the reason I named it Second Act is because so many women who have been through surgery feel like now they are in their second act. Their life was, their first act was life before surgery, and their life now after surgery is their second act. Although I will say a few years ago, I also stumbled on the idea of transformation and really kind of wished I'd used that. But now I'm too far into it. And that's another point for entrepreneurs. Be sure you know why you're picking the name that you're picking, because once you establish that brand, that's the name that everybody knows. So even though I could change it tomorrow and call it Transformations, and I might like that better, but now the market in Chicago and actually around the country, because I go to conferences around the country, know us as Second Act. So it has to be a name that you have a reason for, that you know why, and you know what you're doing, what your reason was for picking it.
Right.
And you might be able to see the logo in the background. And now I'm going to embarrass Pon, but Pon actually created my logo and my typeface 15 years ago. And what's amazing about it is you see that it is one face looking forward and the other face in relief looking the other way. So you have someone who has moved through that transition. So all of those things are important when you're figuring out what you're going to name your company and how your company is going to represent you.
Well, Pattie, it was an honor to work with you. It's been an honor to continue to stay in touch with you and to also help you engage with you during those times. So I've been wanting to do this, to actually to have this conversation with you. So thank you. And you know, it all things come full circle eventually. So I'm just glad that I was a small part of it.
I think too, one of the other things you had asked me before we started this conversation was to think about intersections and why changes happen and how to work with them when they do. And I think there my comment would be, you don't always get to choose. I certainly didn't. I thought my career was going to end the way it started, in advertising, working for agencies. But when change happens, you can do one of two things. You can give up, or you can recognize the need for a change. And what I recognized was I had 30 years of experience leading clients in marketing and business development. So I thought I would just go ahead and be a consultant, and I would just keep doing that independently if I didn't have an ad agency behind me. And I realized that I'm not very good at going out and finding those business clients. That's not my strength. Business development is not my strength. So when I had a client, I did a great job for him, but filling the pipeline with clients didn't work for me. So I had to sit back and say, okay, what else can I do? What other options are out there? And whereas it might have been easier to pick something I knew a little more about than jumping in cold, once you're in, then you just have to keep going, because they say you can stop or you can just keep on pushing through. And in my case, I think if you're going to do it, you need to just keep on pushing through. And what you learn from it is where your strengths are. And it wasn't easy. I can tell you, there were nights that I didn't sleep because I wasn't sure if I was going to lose my home, if I was going to lose everything I had spent 30 years putting together. And my retirement package right now isn't what I thought it was going to be. But you have to face the reality of where you are and figure out what your strengths are and how you can build on those.
I totally agree, Pattie. We had a conversation about balancing opportunities and risk, and that, what I gather from what you just said is that knowing your strengths really is the foundation for turning what people might see as risk into what you would turn into opportunities, and of course being persevering and also having that eye on the prize. So thank you for that. So tell us, Pattie, what's on the horizon for second act? Tell us.
Well, after about 13 years of working entirely by myself, and by that I mean I had clients, but I had nobody else in the business with me. 7 days a week, 24/7, it was all on me. And I can tell you, when you think you're going to start a business, you think, hey, I get to make my own hours. Hey, I get to come and go as I please. Yeah, you make your own hours. You make your hours 24/7. But within the last 2 years, I have finally hired. I have 2 people who work for me now. And that's an interesting thing too, is learning how to find I used a recruiter to find the people who work for me, because again, that wasn't my strength. I had her, and I had to learn, could I use one person part-time and another person full-time? And I was against that idea, but my recruiter talked me into it and it turned out to work very well. So I now have one lady who works for me part-time, and all she does is the insurance end of things. And believe me, that keeps her busy 100% of her time. And then the other young lady who works for me is really excited to become a fitter. And I'm so excited that she's following in my footsteps in the business. I've had her go to classes for wig fitting. I've had her go to classes for mastectomy fitting. She's getting ready to sit for her certification exam. So it won't be all 100% on my shoulders anymore. I actually have a little bit of staff now, and I might actually be able to have, because if I wasn't here, we weren't doing fittings. If we aren't doing fittings, we aren't making money. And while people say to me, oh, what you do must be so rewarding, and I kind of smile and say, yes, it's very rewarding. It is rewarding when that woman smiles and says, can I give you a hug? It's not very rewarding when I look at the balance sheet, because it's not a highly profitable business. So we have to make money to keep our doors open. Right. If we're not making money, we can't be here for the women who are going to need us, and we can't grow. And we have grown steadily every single year over year over year, well beyond what is considered average growth. And that allowed me to be able to hire a couple of people, and now to have someone who will actually be able to do fittings when I'm not here, so business doesn't shut down when I walk away. So it's important also, when an entrepreneur starts out, to realize you may not be able to get help right away, but eventually you're going to need a succession plan. You're going to need somebody who can step in for you. And that's the next area of growth for us, is building my team so that there are other people who can help me do what I do.
Right. A larger team, dedicated team, that's the way to go. So Pattie, I am going to definitely make sure that we have your contact information in the description for once we publish this. So at this point, viewers, you've probably already are seeing Pattie's contact information. So please email her, go to the website, and find out more about Second Act and this great mission-driven business that Pattie has. Pattie, any parting words for our viewers today?
I'm always open to talking to people. So even if you just have questions, maybe you haven't been through breast cancer, but you know somebody who has, or somebody asked you something about it. You don't have to worry, oh, I can't call her, I can't take her time, I don't really need her services. You can call, we can talk. I want people to get a better understanding of how this whole world exists, because, as I said, 1 in 8 women will experience breast cancer in their lifetime. So everybody is going to know somebody who faces it. And if I can do something to help spread the word on the fact that it's not deadly, it is survivable, and it's even survivable in a way that we can make you look like you used to, feel like you used to. I don't want people scared or living in the dark just because they don't understand. Sure, I'll come and talk to groups if you want me to, but I'm happy to just have a phone conversation with anybody who might have an odd question.
Thank you, Pattie. So feel free to contact Pattie, and we have the contact information right there in the description. Thank you, Pattie, for spending time with us today and for sharing your invaluable insight and experiences. I hope we can have you on our program again soon, because I'm sure there are other things and other topics that you're an expert in that we will need to pick your brain on. How about that?
Sounds good. Thanks for reaching out, Pon. It was good speaking with you.
And you too. And thank you to all our viewers for joining us today. Stay tuned for details about our next episode coming to you in about 2 weeks. Meanwhile, take care, stay safe, and stay true. Bye now. Bye, Pattie. Thank you for listening and letting us disrupt your day. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast. For the latest entrepreneur buzz, please sign up for our newsletter by using the link in the description. Remember, be the change you want to see in the world. Until next time.